Hello there, it's Nono, and in this video I'm going to explore the Watermark API in Imgix, and we're going to try to see how to add custom watermarks to our images and use that to automate the addition of watermarks to our images and stuff. I haven't used this service. I know how it works more or less, but I haven't used this API before. So I have here the website of Imgix, and this is their API on how to work with images. And as you can see, they have a ton of options for how to this is just the API for watermarks, but in their API there's so much stuff. There's a lot of things you can do to images. If you don't know what Imgix is, it's a service for image processing with a RESTful API. And just by attaching a few parameters to a URL, you can resize it, you can crop the borders, you can recenter, you can perform filters that you would do in Photoshop, like adding contrast or doing other things. And this has been the service of choice for me on my website. So if you go to any of my deployed websites in production, you're going to be able to see, for instance, this image that it's deployed in a CDN in their servers. It's using this image, which you can load raw, and then it's specifying the API version that it's using, and then the quality and the size that we want to request this image in. If I remove that size and that quality, we get the actual image that's on the server, because I don't really have that restricted, let's say. So we can, on demand, request a smaller image. So say 800 pixels, 60 of quality, and maybe even a sharp mask. So let's say we put here a sharp mask of 20%. You might not be able to see that on the video, but if I put in more, you see how that is emphasizing detail. So if I save this image here, you're going to be able to see that, where this is 64 KB, whereas the original image that I showed before with the full resolution goes up to, I don't know, maybe 600 KB or a megabyte or something. Yeah, 787 KB. So just by doing that operation with a REST request, we can reduce the size of the image that that the user, the client, is loading on their server. So going one step forward, what you can do as well is get an image and put a watermark on it. I did this watermarking here with Photoshop. So just by the regular process of creating your watermark and a layer on top and doing that. But sometimes you don't have access to Photoshop, or maybe you don't even want to pay for the license, and you can skip that tedious process because it's really repetitive and automated in some way. So I'm going to try to automate it with that API. So after this recap of what Imgix is and what we're going to do, I'm going to take an example these images, right? Empty images that I have for the podcast, for the blog, and gonna try to attach a getting simple patch to them, or watermark, or some other that we make. So first thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna require to have a watermark that we want, right? So let's see how this works. So the family of parameters allow you to overlay image or text marks on top of your images. You can control the alignment, width, height, cropping, alpha transparency, padding, size, and position of the watermark separately from the base image. You can also obscure and reduce the length of the watermark's URL. So let's see how we do this. So mark, we have here a Watermark Image URL. Let's see what this is. Adds a watermark to the bottom right hand corner of the image. The watermark is giving a 5 pixel gap from the edge image. What folder, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is the example here. Prefer base 64 variant, which is recommended. Text watermarks. All right, width 160. All right, so they, IMGIX provides this good sandbox where they let you test their API. So let's see. So Lori with mark. Okay, so the mark is actually a full URL with a set of parameters, and what they say is better is to actually encode that as a base 64 string that allows you to pass as a parameter and not get, maybe gets escaped, maybe some parameters get escaped wrong if you don't do that. So this let me see. So how do we get to that? So I guess the mark is here, right? So that's the parameter they're using is the mark parameter. So if I were to run the base 64 here for this, okay, so base 64 actually gets how do we do that here? Because I know that, if I go to desktop and I have this file, I can make it a base 64 string just like this, but I'm not sure how to do that for an image. So let's see what they say here. Ruby. All right, let's search base 64 string. All right, it seems like it's easy. So maybe not that easy. Oh, 3. So base 64, D3 carets, and then the text. And where does that go? All right. All right, so that seems to be what we need. Not sure why would that be different, but all right, so let's try to see. So text hello world. Yep, looks really similar. So that would be our text. All right, let's just try this. So what we're gonna do is try text 64. Let's see. So we're just gonna append here text 64 and our string. All right, that seems like that worked. So that's really small text. We probably can change the size and change some other parameters. So image URL API, text. And now that we're here in text, pixelate. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. All right, let's go to text. All right, text size, and let's see what parameters it takes. The default value is 12. All right, so we just need to put here the text size to 40. All right, yeah, so this is good enough. So we've seen that we can encode to a base 64 encoding, and we're gonna save that to some text file so we remember what we did to make that work. Right, so this is gonna make notes. So this is mg watermark, and that's our command. All right, so the next thing we need to do is see how to convert our mark. So this is press kit. They seem to have their logo here, right? And I'm not sure how they're using, so they're getting their page, but it seems like, oh, page 4. That's pretty cool. So let's see. So if they do that, we can get page 3 or page 2. This is super neat. So okay, so let's try with that one. So we're gonna go here, cell base 64, do that, and I'm just gonna do pv copy. It copies to the clipboard so I can paste it easily later. And we're gonna remove the equals, and now I'm just gonna remove this here and add a mark there. 404. Oh, okay. So we need to not say mark, we need to say mark 64. And that doesn't work either. So that might be, let's see. So that might be because we're not, static assets. Okay, so let's go to our own images. Here. So let's just try to use this one. But with an image from our own server. Mark 64 equals, and now we're going to open SSL base64 that URL. So that works. pv copy to clipboard, put it here, remove the equals, and that doesn't work. All right, so let's see how this is encoded. So it has fm png. Well, let's just attach those values to our request as well, without the page, of course. Right. Ooh. All right. So it seems like the image is taking too much. So let's see. Okay, so let's go back and learn a bit more. So here, width, right. Yeah, everything looks good. All right, we got it. So now we have that ability to put a watermark in there. You know, what's a bit annoying is that this is encoded as base64, so we cannot really change the parameters dynamically, or at least easily here. So, you know, what I'm gonna do right now is just get the raw URL and see how they can encode it. Right, so all right, let's make a quick Laravel app to serve those images and do the base64 encoding directly. So Laravel is a PHP framework to develop websites, and I'm just gonna see how to encode the base64 encoding of how to encode API URL using base64. Seems to be pretty easy. Right, so this is creating a new application here, and you know, these are all the files of my Laravel app, and once this gets done, we're gonna be able to just serve a website in PHP and preview images there. So it seems like we're almost done. All right, so okay, so the application is done, so we're gonna link it. And now that we've linked it, we can access that locally. Right, so I have a Laravel app running, and I'm just gonna make some code that dynamically generates the URL for that base64 encoded string. So let's see, right, I'm not gonna go into detail on how to work with Laravel, but you know, because that will take us days. But I'm quickly gonna use PHP here. And okay, so let's imagine we have a URL, and here I'm gonna have base64 URL. Right, that seems like that worked. So what we now need to do is get our URLs. So we had the image URL. Okay. I'm gonna install a package that lets us, well, I'm not gonna do that right now. All right, so the parameters that we had were, let's see, we're gonna leave this on the URL. Oh, nope, put it here. And we had width equals, let's say, 200. Okay, this is for, right, let's see. We have a watermark URL. So that's gonna be this. By changing this to that. And now we just need to encode this URL and add it to the top one. So URL is going to be URL our URL plus our parameters plus the base 64 URL. And to this one, we're going to say that the width is 200. So this is the base image URL. And well, let's call it something different. So image URL. Right, let's see if that worked. Right, it seems like we're encoding, we're putting the mark 64 there, and now we just have to display the image. So we're gonna make an img element, we're gonna use that URL, and we're going to use inline CSS. Yeah, nice. So what can we do now? We now can play with the parameters. So we have here this parameter. So let's say we make it 200. Right? So this is going to depend a lot on the size of the original image. So if I did this at 1000 pixels, let's put that here. Right, so 1000 and that is 400. So maybe we want it to be 200. And I'm just thinking that if we get more URLs, right? So we're gonna get, so we have the watermark URL, and then we have it encoded, and we have the params. So we can get an array of images here, or image names. So we're gonna get this here, and just get, for instance, that one, that's a hard name, and that, for instance, and that one. So we got 5 images. So now we can do this cool thing of adding a loop into this. So for each images as image, and for each, and now we're gonna make one of these, and we're gonna do the image params base 64 URL. Nothing works. All right, so this is the base URL. That's what we're missing. So that would be the base URL, and image URL is not base URL. Yeah, we don't really care about this anymore because we have the form URL would be here. So maybe we can just make this the URL. And now that we have the URL, so we don't need this anymore. So the image URL we don't want, so we just have the base 64 URL there, but that's already included in our image path. So we're gonna log here the URL for each image, and we're just gonna make that here, and let's see. All right, back to normal. So those are the ugly URLs, right? We're creating thumbnails for these for all of these podcast interviews. So I'm gonna, you already get the hang of, we have a URL base, we're changing the name, and everything here is the same. We're using the width 1000, so we establish a hard width for the base image, so the thumbnails of the watermark always appears to be the same size, relative to it. The mark64, so we're using a base64 encoding function in PHP to convert this watermark URL into this, into this base64 encoded string. And now I'm gonna hide those. So I'm actually gonna hide those URLs. And well, not that one. Hide these ones, so those don't show up. And we're just gonna make a matrix of, well, no, not even a matrix. We're just gonna make a container to have those displayed as a grid. So mind my HTML5 now, because I'm just gonna do something really quick. So here we are going to do that margin left 0, margin right is 0. Well, actually not 0, auto. And the width is going to be that. Let's just try this for debugging. All right. So we can make it a bit wider. All right. And now for each image, let's make a style. Inline block. All right. Yeah, so we're not cropping, so you can see that the proportions are going to be slightly different. And what we can do now is maybe make it so they have some margin. Margin right is going to be right. Yeah, that looks good. So what I want to do now is get more images. So we're going to get, let's see what happens here. Right, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to get all of the images from all the episodes, or at least some of them. This is just to make a point, right, that we're gonna make a really simple action, like it's adding a watermark, but we're gonna apply it to many different images at once in a way that, you know, manually it would be really annoying. And with a service that is on the cloud, we can do that super fast. Right, I might be forgetting some people, but I think we have enough with that. That one too. So a nice thing, you can copy all of these files and now go into Photoshop. We can now go into a new file in Visual Studio Code, paste, and we get all those names. And I'm holding now Alt-Shift-I. I select all the lines, I cut that, and then I make a set of formatting operations there to add them to my array, right? So what you're gonna see now, let's load them even smaller, so that the image size, you know, it doesn't take a lot of time to load. But now we're gonna, you know, we made it 4 times smaller, so we're gonna make the thumbnail 4 times smaller as well. And now we can see all of our thumbnails, hopefully. Yep, so we can see them. I think the resolution, this one's broken. Yep, this is repeated. So all right, let's increase resolution a bit, otherwise that's too small. All right, so now going back to to where we started. So we actually want to take a look at these options now. Now we can do maybe change it. So the family parameter is mark, and we now want to maybe add some padding so the image doesn't look super close to the border. By default it has some padding, but we can adjust it. So let's try to do that. So mark pad, you can see as we increase the padding, the bigger, so the farther that this is. I guess that's in pixels. So for our image that is 50 pixels at the moment, maybe adding 10 or 20. So we will add that here. So mark pad, let's try with 15. Okay, you see there's some padding there. Maybe 10 works actually better. And there's also an API, so Imgix round corners. So there's also an API where we can get that image that we have on the as a mask it. So if corner radius is set, mask corner. Okay, so we will do here mask corners, and now hopefully we see those borders rounded. You see the borders are rounded automatically for each image. That's probably too much, so we have to set the corner radius. And hopefully we can just apply one number and not 4, because that would be too much to repeat. Say 4. Nice. So that worked. So now now I have an array of images. So every time I add a new one, I could choose, and I could iterate through different options on different sizes. So let's try to do that now. So we the last thing I want to do, I haven't really gone through half of these parameters. So this mark alpha, we can change the opacity, the alignment. So this is what I'm going to use now. The height, the X position. So we can do things just to fit the let's see, maybe fit gives us the percentage, so we don't have to resize the image to fit within the width of the boundaries while cropping the image. Height. Yeah, this is to clamp or to fit an image to a certain part of the image that we want. I was looking for something that can give us, instead of the size, we can get a scale. Scales the image to a percentage of the base image. Yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So the mark scale, as you've seen, I've been manually scaling it to 1/5 of the size of the image. So we can do here mark scale, and we can do 1/5, that's 20%. So we remove the width here, and hopefully that stays the same. Yeah, so now I can change the width of the original image, so the actual image that we're creating. You can see that right now that's small, is like 500 pixels. But if I now refresh, even though the images look the same, they have a lot more quality. The same scale, so the same ratio for the mask here. And it seems we've lost the border, the corner radius. So mask corners, corner radius 4. Maybe we do need to specify a size here. So maybe 1000. That doesn't seem like it's liking it. Oh, okay. Yeah. What's happening here is if we don't resize the image, so if we don't resize, we cannot know. So here the corner radius equaling to 4 makes sense when the image is 100 pixels, right? But if we specify the image being 1000 pixels, the border radius should be 40, I think. And then the scaling might work either way. Yep. So now we have an image like that, and then if I put 1000 here, yeah, so the radius is, so the corner radius is respected because there is an initial size for that image that we're getting. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to see the original image size of that one. So this image, it's pretty big, but it's really light because it's a PNG just with 2 colors. So 3000. So let's see if we were to keep it to 3000. I think 3000 is way too much, but maybe 1000 is okay. So if we put this to 2000, what we don't want is that the image gets upscaled when the image is actually bigger, right? So all of these images now have good resolution, and here we can see that pretty big. So probably what we want to do is get this down to 15% maybe, and a padding of 13. Now that's just like a matter of taste, of whatever you prefer for your, that looks better with your layout. All right, so the thing I said we were gonna see before wrapping up is that I'm gonna try the alignment. So I think we might be able just to put it on the left, so top, middle, left, bottom. So bottom right, so bottom left we'll say. So mask align, bottom left, and that probably just puts it to the left. Oh, it didn't. So mask align. Top right set, mark pad, mark align. So mark pad, I put mask here, so it's actually mark align. All right, so that works. So now what I'm gonna do, just as a test, we're gonna have 3 images per image that we have, three tests, right, or 3 options that we want to do, and that's the last thing we will do. So you can see here we have the last parameter, there's the watermark URL, this is the params, and then the base 64 URL, that's the encoded string that encodes the watermark URL. So what we can do now is that at the end we can append other things. So we can have the URL, but now we can manually append here that the first one is going to have the first one is going to be the default. The second is going to have the mark align to the bottom left, and then the third one is going to have to the top right. And now if we finish that, now we can see that we have all the options. Let's say, for completion, we're going to have these to be 20, well, maybe, yeah, 23. So we get 4. Oh, I have the hard code here. Didn't realize that. All right, so now we have 4 images. We're gonna make this even bigger. And the last one that we're missing is the top left. So we're iterating through all the possibilities, and now we have a generator that puts our thumbnail. This is a bit heavy in terms of the requests that you're doing for to Imgix, but it fulfills the purpose of automatically putting the watermark that we want into the image, and then we can from there select which one of those we want to use. Yeah, so I think I've learned something today. I hope that you have learned something today as well. And if you like this video, I would like to hear your comments. So leave some comments, maybe like the video, and you can also subscribe to know about future videos, and also to know when I go live. Thanks so much, and I hope you enjoyed it.